Welcome back. It is a fact that childhood years have a deep impact on an adult's personality. But what happens when childhood is lost? Sri Lanka's displaced children number in the thousands and have undergone unimaginable trauma due to disasters such as the tsunami and, of course, the conflict. In our next report, we go to the launch of a publication which aims to shed light on problems specific to displaced children and the importance of giving them back the childhood that they have lost. Camps and welfare centers have become home to thousands of displaced children who have been affected by decades of conflict in Sri Lanka. As children, they make the most of it, tapping into their ability to find enjoyment even in the direst of circumstances. But behind the facade of fun and games is the reality of their situation. They are without homes, without rights, and without protection. The publication, Home Away from Home, a collaboration between Save the Children Sri Lanka and the Centre for Policy Alternatives, looks into the prevalence and nature of the violation of children's rights in the context of displacement. The book consists of findings from a study conducted in Batticaloa, Jaffna and Anuradhapura that attempts to profile the protection concerns of children displaced due to armed conflict since 2006.
So it's post-2006, but it doesn't look at the newly displaced IDPs. The issues that we've looked at are the ground situation, the conditions faced by the IDP children, and the policy legal framework. And our key findings are there's a section on recommendations, and we basically said there's a strong policy legal framework which should be implemented.
The launch of Home Away from Home recently in Colombo was an opportunity for those involved to highlight the main areas of concern in regards to the protection of Sri Lanka's displaced children. A unique feature of the publication was that it incorporated the children's own sentiments on their protection needs, their views on duty bearers, and their beliefs on what should be done.
It is noteworthy that children have spoken about fear most often as the greatest impact of displacement on their lives. This raises red flags on the need to respond to children's psychosocial needs and assess long-term psychological impacts of war and displacement.
The psychological impact of displacement and unjust treatment, especially on children, is massive and, according to the report, manifests itself in a variety of ways. It could be in a permanent fear of armed personnel. It could be in the inability to form healthy social relationships. It could be in a negative reaction to control, or simply a total lack of hope for the future. By placing emphasis on these issues, Home Away from Home attempts to show how this culture of trauma in a generation of children will eventually affect society as a whole.
All the truisms and cliches and platitudes notwithstanding, that amongst the displaced, the children occupy a very special place indeed. Because if we are talking about reconciliation, if we are talking about national unity, these are the people who are going to sustain it well into a future and going to be the champions, the leaders of a new Sri Lanka, which is not afflicted by the wounds and hurts of the old one. Now, in that respect, therefore, one has to have a particular prioritization with regard to the question of children in displacement.
Things where we're working, and
another important issue brought out by the report is that although there are many rights-based laws and policies for children in general, there are none that specifically address the needs of children who are displaced. As well as highlighting the need for such laws and policies, the report also urges authorities to implement policy frameworks already in place, which deal with the protection of displaced children.
Let's implement what's already there. We don't have to formulate new laws or policies. We can start with what we have and then move forward. And it's very important at this moment when we are talking about over 250,000 IDPs in the north and east with the new displacement. I mean, let's not forget the old IDPs. Our specific sample was the old IDPs, but there's been so many new developments since then. So as it stands, we have a framework that can work to address the needs, the protection issues of children in displacement.
At present, there are 70,967 displaced children in the Vaunia IDP camps alone, and the overall figures of children displaced by war is estimated to be more than 100,000 in the country. The numbers speak for themselves.